Lately on the NPR Politics podcast, we're talking about a big question. How much can one guy change?
They want change.
What will change look like for energy?
Drill, baby, drill.
Schools.
Take the Department of Education, close it.
Healthcare.
Better and less expensive.
Follow coverage of a changing country.
Promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises.
On the NPR Politics podcast. Listen on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Jon Stewart is back at The Daily Show, and he's bringing his signature wit and insight straight to your ears with The Daily Show Ears Edition podcast. Dive into Jon's unique take on the biggest topics in politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Joined by the sharp voices of the show's correspondents and contributors. And with extended interviews and exclusive weekly headline roundups, this podcast gives you content you won't find anywhere else. Ready to laugh and stay informed? Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
$1.4 billion in NFL quarterback contracts. The untold stories behind the biggest deals in football history. I'm AJ Stevens, Vice President of Client Strategy at Athletes First, introducing the Athletes First Family Podcast, the Quarterback Series. My co-host Brian Murphy, Athletes First CEO, and I are sitting down with the agents who have negotiated contracts for Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jordan Love. Listen to Athletes First Family Podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are cordially invited to the hottest party in professional sports. I'm Tisha Allen, former golf professional, and the host of Welcome to the Party, your newest obsession about the wonderful world that is women's golf. Featuring interviews with top players on tour, tips to help improve your swing, and the craziest stories to come out of your friendly neighborhood country club. Welcome to the Party with Tisha Allen is an iHeart Women's Sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment. Listen to Welcome to the Party, that's P-A-R-T-E-E, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Decisions, the podcast where boundaries are pushed and conversations get candid. Join your favorite hosts, me, Weezy WTF,
and me, Mandy B,
as we dive deep into the world of non-traditional relationships and explore the often taboo topics surrounding dating, sex, and love.
That's right. Every Monday and Wednesday, we both invite you to unlearn the outdated narratives dictated by traditional patriarchal norms. With a blend of humor, vulnerability, and authenticity, we share our personal journeys navigating our 30s, tackling the complexities of modern relationships, and engage in thought-provoking discussions that challenge societal expectations.
From groundbreaking interviews with diverse guests to relatable stories that'll resonate with your experiences, Decisions is going to be your go-to source for the open dialogue about what it truly means to love and connect in today's world.
Get ready to reshape your understanding of relationships and embrace the freedom of authentic connections. Tune in and join in the conversation.
Listen to Decisions on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is time now for today's Strawberry Letter. And if you need advice on relationships, work, sex, parenting, or more, please submit your Strawberry Letter to steveharveyfm.com. All you have to do is click Submit Strawberry Letter. We could be reading your letter live on the air, just like we're going to read this one right here. Right now, you never know. It could be yours. So please write us.
Write us. Buckle up and hold on tight. We got it for you. Here it is. Strawberry Letter.
Thank you, nephew. Subject, he's padding everything. Dear Stephen Shirley, I'm a 42-year-old woman, and I met a man that lied about his age and other things when I met him. He's 6'4" and very nice looking with curly hair, but he's very skinny. He had a large groin area, and I couldn't help but see it since he is such a tall man. We met in a grocery store, and he was staring at me for a long time, and then he finally spoke and said my beauty had him mesmerized. We exchanged numbers, and a few days later, I met him out for a drink. I would have preferred to go to dinner, but that's not what he offered. On our first date, that's when he started laying it on thick with the lies. He said he's 48 years old and he played ball in college, but he didn't get a chance to go pro because he hurt his foot. He said his home is getting renovated, so he's staying in one of his rental properties. He never told me what he does for a living, but he says he dabbles in the stock market. I loved getting to know him, so I continued to hang out with him. After about 2 months, I was ready to be intimate with him. As he got undressed, I noticed his underwear had a cup-like feature in the front, and that was the bulge I always saw. I asked him about his underwear, and he told me that a lot of men wear those to protect themselves. He also had on an undershirt, a black t-shirt, and a button front shirt, and explained that he likes to pad his chest because he is skinny. We ended up doing the do, and he was small and terrible. Since that night...
I said, I'll be damned. Go ahead.
Since that night, he's admitted that he's 64, he works as a custodial manager, he never played basketball, and he's never been to college. It's clear that he does not have a house either. Since he has come clean about the lies, should I give him a chance to prove himself or break it off? Well, I think he's already proven himself. He doesn't tell the truth, and not just little lies. He tells these big, elaborate lies. He didn't tell you the truth about anything. So how can you trust him now? He told you he was 48. He's 64. Men may lie about a lot of things, but they usually don't lie about their age. Everything he told you was a lie. And the thing about it is that he didn't have to do that. When people lie, it serves only them, because they don't give you a chance to make an informed decision, and it leaves you no options. It's selfish on their part because they're just trying to get what they want. You said he's terrible in bed and small. Wow. You said that, but even with all of that and all of the lies going against him, you continue to go out with him and you want to give him another chance. That's what you're asking us. You like him and you're torn right now. I'm glad he came clean and finally told you the truth, if that really is the truth. But I say when the red flags show up, you have to pay attention. Pay attention to what he does, okay? What he does right now, not what he says, because that will determine how you should move forward. Every lie he told you in the beginning was a red flag. Hopefully he's changed for the good now. Hopefully. Steve?
Impossible. Impossible. Ladies, you all have got to start listening to what a man is saying to you. Because what he is saying to you and doing to you must sync up immediately. Let me say this to y'all. What a man is saying to you and doing to you, it has to link up immediately. If it doesn't link up immediately, you are in for what you always end up being for, a surprise. Stephen Shirley, I'm a 42-year-old woman. I met a man that lied about his age and other things when I met him. He's 6'4" and very nice looking. Okay, ain't no problem. Curly hair, but he was skinny. See that butt? Skinny. He had a large growing area, and I couldn't help it since he's such a tall man. So what you trying? It was just right there, huh? He's 6'4", you 5'2". It was right there. It was right there. Okay.
She said she couldn't help it.
She couldn't help it. I'm down here. I'm in the grocery store. I'm eye level with the handle on the grocery cart. All I saw was, Lord have mercy, 6'4", and he had on some Prada platform shoes. So now he about probably 6'6", 6'7". Oh yeah. Oh, and Tommy, by the way, Prada got a new shoe out with a heavy platform and sole. Oh yeah, get you a few pairs. Get it in all the colors.
Side note to Tommy.
I just thought of that, you know.
In the letter.
Get them in all the colors, and you'll look nice in them too. Plus, you got big ass feet, so it'll work out.
Okay, back to the strawberry letters.
We met on the grocery store. He was staring at me for a long time. Said, my beauty mesmerized. Y'all exchanged numbers a few days later. Here we go. We met him out for a drink. I would have preferred to go to dinner, but that's not what he offered. Our first date is when he started laying it on thick with the lies. Remember I said, Listen to what a man says, and it has to sync up with what he does. He said he's 48 years old, played ball in college, but didn't get a chance to go pro. Now, he also told you he dabbles in the stock market. He has rental properties. I'm just saying this. I'm getting ahead of the letter. He gonna tell you he dabbles in the stock market. He got rental properties, but then all y'all getting was drinks.
All right, hang on.
You don't see that?
We'll get back to your response, part 2, coming up at 23 minutes after the hour. Today's Strawberry Letter subject, he's padding everything. We'll get back into it right after this.
Lately on the NPR Politics podcast, we're talking about a big question. How much can one guy change?
They want change.
What will change look like for energy?
Drill, baby, drill.
Schools.
Take the Department of Education, close it.
Healthcare.
Better and less expensive.
Follow coverage of a changing country.
Promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises.
On the NPR Politics podcast. Listen on the iHeart Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I started to live a double life when I was a teenager. Responsible and driven, and wild and out of control. My head is pounding. I'm confused. I don't know why I'm in jail. It's hard to understand what hope is when you're trapped in a cycle of addiction. Addiction took me to the darkest places. I had an AK-47 pointed at my head. But one night, a new door opened, and I made it into the rooms of recovery. The path would have roadblocks and detours, stalls, and relapses. But when I was feeling the most lost, I found hope with community, and I made my way back. This season, join me on my journey through addiction and recovery, a story told in 12 steps. Listen to Crumbs as part of the My Cultura Podcast Network, available on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey y'all, this is Reed from the God's Country Podcast. We had the one and only Bobby Bones in the studio this week, and we cover everything from his upbringing to his outdoor experiences with his stepdad, Arkansas Keith, to the state of country music. We may even end the episode with a little jam session led by Bobby himself. Y'all be sure and listen to this episode of God's Country with Bobby Bones on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't go shopping at Target with khaki pants and a red shirt on. Don't go shopping at Target with khaki pants and a red polo shirt on. That's what you have. Songwriter move. Songwriter move. An old lady came up to me. She said, "How much for this cream of wheat?"
Jon Stewart is back at The Daily Show, and he's bringing his signature wit and insight straight to your ears with The Daily Show Ears Edition podcast. Dive into Jon's unique take on the biggest topics in politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Joined by the sharp voices of the show's correspondents and contributors. And with extended interviews and exclusive weekly headline roundups, this podcast gives you content you won't find anywhere else. Ready to laugh and stay informed? Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The forces shaping markets and the economy are often hiding behind a blur of numbers.
So that's why we created The Big Take from Bloomberg Podcasts, to give you the context you need to make sense of it all.
Every day, in just 15 minutes, we dive into one global business story that matters.
You'll hear from Bloomberg journalists like Matt Levine.
A lot of this meme stock stuff is, I think, embarrassing to the SEC.
Amanda Mull, who writes our Business Week buying power column.
Very few companies who go viral are totally prepared for what that means.
And Zoe Tillman, senior legal reporter.
Courts are not supposed to decide elections. Courts are not really supposed to play a big role in choosing our elected leaders. It's for the voters to decide.
Follow the Big Take podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen.
It's time to talk about life insurance. It's one of those things that everyone should have, and Globe Life makes it easy with no medical exam, just a simple application and coverage options up to $100,000. Get the coverage you need in 2025. Go online at globeliferadio.com or call 1-800-251-5400 to apply in minutes. That's globeliferadio.com or 1-800-251-5400. All right, come on, Steve. Let's recap today's Strawberry Letter. The subject is he's padding everything.
Everything. But you got to watch what they say, ladies. Listen to what a man says, and it has to line up with what he does immediately. Immediately. She met this dude, 6'4", nice looking, big package, so she thought. He's 6'4", so she couldn't help but notice it. He tall, he's skinny, he got curly hair. He said, your beauty mesmerizing. Y'all exchanged numbers. A few days later, he asked you out. I met him out for a drink. You wanted to go to dinner, but that's not what he offered. Our first date is when he started laying it on thick with the lies. He said he's 48 years old. He played ball in college, but didn't get a chance to go pro because it hurt his foot. He said his home is getting renovated, so he's staying in one of his rental properties. Okay. Mm-hmm. One of. But y'all just having drinks, though. He never told me what he does for a living, but he said he dabbles in the stock market. I love getting to know him, so I continue to hang out with him. After about 2 months, I was ready to be intimate with him. As he got undressed, I noticed his underwear had a cup-like feature in the front, and that was the bulge. That was the bulge I always saw.
What is that?
I asked about his underwear, and he told me a lot of men wear those to protect themselves. Now, the only thing men wear to protect themselves is when they play in sports or boxing, and it's called a cup.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
You can see it on all football players' uniforms.
Okay.
Got you.
Every last one of them wear a cup. Don't nobody wear that in their dress pants.
Okay. What is she talking
Nobody. And if he that tall and skinny, what is he protecting it from? What is he doing? But right there, it was a clue. Because you found out later on what he really did. So now you find out why he need the cup. A lot of men don't wear that. There are a lot of men that's just blessed.
Okay. Are we going there now? Seriously?
I mean, it's a lot of men that's blessed. That's what she talking about. She asked, do all men do that? No. So when y'all was getting naked, he had on an undershirt, a black T-shirt, and a button-up shirt.
Ooh.
He said, that's a lot.
Hot. He said what?
He said he likes to pad his chest because he's skinny. That's a lot of shirts. We ended up doing the do, and he was small and terrible. Since that night, he's admitted. Now, here we go. He's 6'4". See, you know where he got that? He's 64. He admitted he's 64. You know where he got that from? Because you said he was 6'4".
Oh.
See, so he just kept that information. That's true. But he told you he was 48 years old. He works as a custodial manager, thus explains the cup. See, when you might fall on the bucket handle, you're going to need that cup. You slip down them steps and hit that railing, you need that cup. One of them little kids up at the elementary school get tired. I'm tired of you, Mr. Harold, bam, and blast you, punch you dead in your zipper. You need that cup. Because he ain't a janitor, he the custodian. See, he ain't tell you where he worked at because he worked down at the school. He said he's a what, Shirley? Custodial manager. He the only one. Ain't but one janitor at the school. He the only one, so he managed himself.
Oh.
He never played basketball and never been to college. So now he ain't athletic, but he wear an athletic cup and he ain't got no education, no chance for further advancement. It's clear he does not have a house either. Yeah, that's clear when y'all just had them drinks. And he was staying in one of his rental properties because you can't go over there. Since he's come clean about the lie, should I give him a chance to prove himself a break? He's already proven himself. Ladies, stop collecting red flags. Stop. This is a red flag. 6'4", curly hair. 48, played ball, hurt his foot. He got rental properties, dabbled in the stock market. Truth of the matter is, he's 64. Now, how you let this man tell you he was 48 and he's 64? When he started pulling them old-ass clothes off, look at his outfits. Look at his outfit. You wasn't paying no attention? Most 64-year-old dudes, unless they fly, and there are a lot of fly brothers out there. I see them all the time. Cats that I admire when I see them dressed up. He ain't it. He can't play ball. He broke his little fragile ass foot. He ain't got no education, no chance for advancement. He a janitor down at the school, and ain't nothing wrong with that. But you just collect a red flag. And he just started lying. He not fitting to stop lying. This is a red flag. He done lied about everything. You don't think it's some more lies coming?
All right.
Got to be out your mind. You can ask me more about this letter if you want to when we come back, but you know.
Leave your comments on today's Strawberry Letter on Instagram at Steve Harvey FM. Check out the Strawberry Letter podcast on demand. Coming up next, it is Sports Talk with Junior right after this.
It's a new year, so why not make it a new you? It's hard to find people who are good at what they do. It's like if you're hiring. How can you find the best people for your roles? ZipRecruiter. If you're hiring for your company, this is a busy time of year for you because you've got new 2025 goals, which means finding the right people to accomplish them. ZipRecruiter is the hiring site employers prefer the most based on G2. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/strawberry. That's ZipRecruiter.com/strawberry.
You wanted to do a special, in lieu of Junior and Sports, you wanted to do a special third segment with the
this strawberry letter about this woman that met
He's
this
padding
man
everything is
who says is padding everything. He tall, skinny. She's attracted to the cup that he has in the front of his package.
She didn't say that.
Well, she said she was attracted by the bulge. She didn't know it was a sculpture. Now he said he couldn't go pro because it hurt his foot, and she don't know what he do for a living. He said he dabble in the stock market, and he not at his regular house right now because he's staying in one of his rental properties.
She said he had a large groin area, and I couldn't help but see it since he is such a tall man.
Well, he's 6'4", she 5'2".
She right there.
She's standing there with the grocery cart in her hand, just looking over the handlebar on the grocery cart.
That man.
What else is right there? Well, they go home, they trade numbers, and finally she started liking they get naked. He got on 4 shirts because he like to pad his chest because he's skinny. He got 4 shirts on. Then he pulled his pants down. She noticed drawers had a cup in the front. He said a lot of men wear that to protect themselves. You don't wear a cup unless you play sports. Football, boxing, stuff like that you have on the cup.
But you don't wear it out to dinner or
hell no. But he wear it because his job is come to find out he a janitor. So he the
custodial manager.
But the only reason he the manager because he the custodian and he the only one work there, so he managed himself. So now he say
that's a made up title.
Manager. Yeah, all this made up. I know how to do this here. And ain't nothing to this dude. And now he got to wear that cup because he done slipped on that mop handle bucket before. and down here send his children to heaven early. So now that's why he wear the cup.
I got to ask you something, though, Steve. Do men lie about their age? I've just never known.
I don't. I'm too famous for that.
I don't know any man.
I really don't know a lot of men that lie about their age.
No. That's a real
I really don't. I'm pretty sure they do, but why would you do that?
Yeah.
To say you're 48, what's the difference?
A big
That's
lie.
16 years different. He wanted her to think in 16 more years I'll be able to put it together. We have a good life. Well, your life, you done had your good life. It's always more to it, but you got to be a different person. You got to stop all this lying.
That's part 3 of today's Strawberry Letter.
Damn,
He's
baby.
padding everything. Coming up at the top of the hour, Steve.
Move in with me.
A woman walks out on her date because he wouldn't pay a $3 charge for extra cheese on his burger. We'll talk about it right after this.
This is Steve Harvey Morning Show, man.
Why do we have a radio show if we're going to do it right?
listen to yourself.
Nah, that's stupid.
Did you just hear
That's
yourself?
stupid. That's what I'm talking about, boy. Say that, man.
Why do we have a
Say
radio
that.
show if we gonna be right?
Hey, there's more of the Steve Harvey Morning Show coming up right after this.
Lately on the NPR Politics podcast, we're talking about a big question. How much can one guy change?
They want change.
What will change look like for energy,
Drill, baby, drill. We're gonna
schools,
take the Department of Education, close it.
healthcare?
Better and less expensive.
Follow coverage of a changing country
Promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises.
on the NPR Politics podcast. Listen on the iHeart Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Jon Stewart is back at The Daily Show, and he's bringing his signature wit and insight straight to your ears with The Daily Show Ears Edition podcast. Dive into Jon's unique take on the biggest topics in politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Joined by the sharp voices of the show's correspondents and contributors. And with extended interviews and exclusive weekly headline roundups, this podcast gives you content you won't find anywhere else. Ready to laugh and stay informed? Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
$1.4 billion in NFL quarterback contracts. The untold stories behind the biggest deals in football history. I'm AJ Stevens, Vice President of Client Strategy at Athletes First, introducing the Athletes First Family Podcast, the Quarterback Series. My co-host Brian Murphy, Athletes First CEO, and I are sitting down with the agents who have negotiated contracts for Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jordan Love. Listen to Athletes First Family Podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are cordially invited to the hottest party in professional sports. I'm Tisha Allen, former golf professional, and the host of Welcome to the Party, your newest obsession about the wonderful world that is women's golf. Featuring interviews with top players on tour, tips to help improve your swing, and the craziest stories to come out of your friendly neighborhood country club. Welcome to the Party with Tisha Allen is an iHeart Women's Sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment. Listen to Welcome to the Party, that's PARTEE, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Decisions, the podcast where boundaries are pushed and conversations get candid. Join your favorite hosts, me, Weezy WTF,
and me, Mandy B,
as we dive deep into the world of non-traditional relationships and explore the often taboo topics surrounding dating, sex, and love.
Every Monday and Wednesday, we both invite you to unlearn the outdated narratives dictated by traditional patriarchal norms. Tune in and join in the conversation.
Listen to Decisions on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.